Hello and welcome to another Royal Reviewer channel episode. Today is Friday the 17th of April 2020 and I have the latest selection of royal stories for you. The first story that I want to start with today is of course Princess Anne. Now Princess Anne has given a very rare interview to Vanity Fair. Now Princess Anne rarely does give these sorts of interviews. So I sat down this morning and I read and listened to the article from Vanity Fair. I will provide a link in the description box below. There is also an audio available on the same link. So as I did, click on the audio and of course you can follow the article reading it as well. So obviously I am not going to read to you today the entire article. That is for you guys to go and read or listen to yourselves. But I do want to summarize. So I think it was a very insightful article into the thinking and the life of Princess Anne. Peppered with the actual interview is also a history of the Princess Royal's life. For example, it explains how Princess Anne won Sports Personality of the Year in 1971. It explores her love of horses with such quotes as, "I thought if I was going to do anything outside of the royal family, horses was likely to be the best way of doing it." She also revealed that she loves to spend time with her grandchildren, teaching them how to ride horses. In typical Princess Anne style, she confides, "I find it very difficult to understand why anybody gets sucked into screens and devices. Life's too short, frankly. There's much more entertaining things to be done." She adds, "I suppose that puts me in the real dinosaur range." On the issue of the Queen offering her children royal titles and declining them, she said, "I think it was probably easier for them, and I think most people would agree that there are downsides to having titles. So I think it was probably the right thing to do." She also comments on the issue of boarding schools, saying, "I had a governess and 2 friends, and that was never going to be enough. So I was only too pleased to be sent off somewhere else. I think boarding school has been demonised by some, when in fact it's a very important aspect to have available, and many children actually thrive in it." The interview also goes into the many charities, lifelong charities, which the princess has had affiliation with, including Save the Children. She commented, "It took me probably 10 years before I really felt confident enough to contribute to Save the Children's public debates, because you needed to understand how it works on the ground, and that needed to be wide coverage. So my early trips were really important." And she also said that she worries that the younger generation of royals may be in too much of a hurry to change the royal family's tried and tested approach when it comes to philanthropy. She says, describing herself as a boring old fuddy-duddy at the back, saying, "Don't forget the basics." She cautions, "I don't think this younger generation probably understands what I was doing in the past." And it's often true, isn't it? You don't necessarily look at the previous generation and say, "Oh, you did that," or "You went there." Nowadays, they're much more looking for, "Oh, let's do it a different way. And I'm already at that stage. Please do not reinvent that particular wheel. We've been there, done that. Some of these things don't work. You may need to go back to basics." She also declined to identify herself as a feminist. Rather, she says she wants to see every young person achieve their full potential. When questioned about her mother, the Queen, and father, the Duke of Edinburgh, working into old age, she said, "I have to admit they continued being there for a lot longer than I had in mind, but we'll see." On the issue of her own retirement, she said, "I don't think retirement is quite the same for me. Most people would say we're very lucky not to be in that situation because you wouldn't want to just stop." On the issue of fashion, she said that she loves to wear Harris tweed and supports UK designers. On wearing Harris tweed, she said, "It went through a phase when it was very fashionable. For me, the point about it is that it looks exactly the same at the end of the day as it did at the beginning. Brilliant." On being a fashion icon, Edward Enninful, British Vogue editor, said, "Princess Anne is a true style icon and was all about sustainable fashion before the rest of us really knew what that meant. She is timeless in her style and she wears a tailored suit better than anyone else I know." Princess Anne, however, is more self-deprecating, claiming that she recycles because I'm quite mean. I still try and buy materials and have them made up because I just think that's more fun. The article also places really heavy emphasis on how hard-working Princess Anne is, claiming that she does not stop for a break until her engagements are completed that day, and sometimes she can do as much as 3, 4 or 5 engagements in a day, which she admits causes quite a headache for her assistants. All in all, I would say it is a really great, rare glimpse into the life of Princess Anne. The article was written by Katie Nicholl and of course published in Vanity Fair. Do go and check out the link below, listen to or read the full article. Moving on, I now want to talk about Sophie Wessex, or rather Her Royal Highness the Countess of Wessex, who has volunteered to prepare and package meals for emergency workers. At a time when members of the royal family are continuing to do what they can do to help combat the ongoing coronavirus crisis, Sophie Wessex is no different. Taking to their Twitter account, Rhubarb Foods shared some photographs of Sophie helping out. Rhubarb Foods Limited is a UK-based hospitality group preparing and packaging meals for NHS emergency room workers. The organisation is currently helping cook and deliver thousands of meals a week for NHS hospitals as they continue to treat thousands of patients diagnosed with the virus. They say Her Royal Highness the Countess of Wessex offered her time to help prepare these NHS meals. Rhubarb's CEO says, "We were delighted to welcome her on Wednesday the 15th of April to our humble kitchens, where she joined our team and worked diligently with our chef brigade to prepare food for our heroic NHS hospital teams." Sophie is seen preparing tins of pasta, stirring sauces and rolling burritos for hospital staff, whilst donating precautionary gloves and a face mask. This morning, William and Catherine, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, gave a rare BBC breakfast interview where they spoke about life under lockdown. William and Catherine revealed today that they have actually been homeschooling their children during the Easter holidays without telling them. So the UK at the moment is currently on the second week of a 2-week Easter break. In the interview, they also spoke of their fears for Prince Charles over his coronavirus diagnosis. Prince William and Catherine said it had been challenging to teach their 3 children, who they say had got such stamina, although it hasn't been all hardcore, but also told how they have been staying in touch with other royal family members using online video calls, such as Zoom. Catherine said of homeschooling, "Don't tell the children we've actually kept it going through the holidays. I feel very mean. The children have got such stamina. I don't know how, honestly. You get to the end of the day and you write down the list of all the things that you've done in that day." She added, "It's just having a bit of structure actually, and it's great. There's so many great tips online and fun activities that you can do with the children, so it hasn't been all hardcore." Prince William also admitted that he was quite concerned for Prince Charles after his father had tested positive for the coronavirus after having mild symptoms last month. But William said that he had been optimistic that he would make a full recovery. He also revealed his worry for his grandparents, the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh, although they have been doing all they can to ensure they are protected and isolated at Windsor Castle. Catherine said, "I think your father and my parents and our families and things like that have really loved keeping in touch with the children because it's really hard, particularly over family times like Easter and things like that, and not seeing each other. So we have been making sure we share in on birthday calls and things like that, just to make sure we keep in touch with each other." Speaking about how they are coping during lockdown, Catherine said, "It's been ups and downs. It's a lot for families self-isolating. George is much older than Louis and things, but they are aware. I'm always surprised. And although you don't want to scare them and make it too overwhelming, I think it's appropriate to acknowledge it in simple ways and age-appropriate ways." On homeschooling, she said, "You pitch a tent, take the tent down, cook, bake. You get to the end of the day. They have had a lovely time, but it is amazing how much you can cram into one day, that's for sure." Expanding on Prince Charles's COVID-19 illness, Prince William said, "I have to admit, at first I was quite concerned. He fits the profile of somebody at the age he's at, which is, you know, fairly risky, and so I was a little bit worried. But my father has had many chest infections, colds and things like that over the years. So I thought to myself, if anybody's going to be able to beat it, it's going to be him." William also added that Charles was very lucky that he had mild symptoms and told how he got a lot of good reassurance from doctors and friends. William continued, and obviously speaking to him made me feel more reassured that he was okay. But again, at that age, you do worry a bit more. On the environment, William spoke and said, "The environmental impact of no one travelling around all the place has made a huge difference. I think all around the world. I always thought that was lunacy really as to why on earth we do that when we've got technology nowadays to do that. Why don't we conduct more business from home? Obviously, of course, there are always plenty of businesses that rely heavily on face-to-face interaction, and that should continue. But I do hope that post this, that there's a new way of working and people are sensible and a bit more challenging in terms of how they travel and when they need to." Prince William and Catherine also praised Captain Tom Moore. Captain Tom Moore has raised more than £17 million for the NHS by walking lengths of his garden. William described the 99-year-old Second World War veteran as an absolute legend and has written to him and made an undisclosed donation to his appeal.
That I think is absolutely amazing that my super prince can say some things like that.
Also, we have had news within the last 24 hours that Princess Beatrice has officially cancelled or rather postponed her wedding until such times as when it can be safely reinstated. We knew previously that she had cancelled her wedding reception, which was due to be held at Buckingham Palace. However, at the outset of lockdown, many people, myself included, believed the wedding would not go ahead because the Church of England imposed a 5-person rule on weddings. That means the 5 permitted people are of course the vicar, the bride, the groom and 2 witnesses. I very much look forward, as I'm sure you all do, to a time when we are able to enjoy a normal way of life. However, I must dispel the rumours circulating that Princess Beatrice is planning a much larger wedding when she is able to. Palace sources have disclosed to journalists that this is a mistruth and Princess Beatrice is planning the same private low-key wedding that she wanted this time and she is able to go forward with her wedding in the future. Thank you for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, then please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media and also hit the bell so that you know whenever I upload a new video. Also, please do remember to subscribe to the channel. So from me in Shropshire, mwah to you all and goodbye.